Welcome to day 81 of trying to become a SOC Analyst. We're on the LetsDefend platform, looking at our main channel for alerts. We've had a critical pop-up, so let's assign that to ourselves. Now looking at the alert. Okay, looks like it's a follow-on from yesterday's alert. Yesterday we had an alert for Richard Prod with juicypotato.exe being ran on the endpoint to try and get privilege escalation. When we worked through that ticket with their investigation, we found out that there was malware put into the endpoint via an Excel document, and that reached out to a malicious URL, which was this URL. And the dates are the same as what I investigated yesterday. So this, it looks like yesterday we got the critical alert for the privilege escalation, and today we're getting the critical alert for their initial entry. So this should be a pretty straightforward one, as I already dealt with this yesterday. But we have to clear our log, so let's jump into it. So we can go to our endpoint. In fact, a lot of this will still be on the screen from yesterday. So I actually don't need to bring that up again because this was what we looked at yesterday. There's only one outgoing connection on January 31st from Richard's IP, and this was to the domain name to grab network.exe. And if we go to email security again, I haven't changed any of my screens since the alert we did yesterday. We backtracked that connection to the email, and the email was an Excel document. When Richard ran the Excel file, it reached out to that C2 address and grabbed the next payload. So I'll load up the endpoint. It should already be contained. Yeah, it is. So this is what we're investigating yesterday, the juicy potato. But in the process of investigating this juicy potato privilege escalation, we looked at how someone would be running privilege escalation. And it was because if we looked at Excel had launched, and this process here was launched from Excel, and that reached out to the network address. Well, we can see that in the logs. It might be easy. Just that reached out to this address here and grabbed this network .exe. So we'll run through the motions again, but it is malicious. We do need to contain the endpoint. So let's put in this network.exe. We'll notice that it's been flagged by 13 vendors as malicious. If we go to community, there's no reports of it, but we've got malware flagged there and lots of vendors mentioning it's malicious. If we go back to the logs, we could download the artifact and detonate it, but we do already know it's malicious, so I think that's a waste of time. Unless you want to see the hash of it. Where's my alert here? Oh, sorry, it was from email security. Sorry, it's here. Grab that. Infected. C9A. So we'll move that to the folder I normally look at my malware. Okay. I'll have to extract it in file. have a password option here, infected. Okay. I just closed my browser, sorry, new window. Luckily, with Zen, we have everything nicely in workspaces. So we'll go back to our alert. And get back on track, sorry. It was in downloads. .44. Oh, it's already extracted, sorry. MD5 sum 44. So let's get the hash of the actual file that caused this infection. Our virus total, it's closed all our windows. Okay, so I don't think there's any point in detonating the Excel document, as we can clearly see. It's been flagged 34 vendors as malicious. Trojan downloader. If we look at the community tab, there most likely will be a report we can look at as well. If we go relations, we'll probably see the domain. Yeah, so that's our C2 address that we've already seen in the logs that the endpoints reached out to. And we also can have some reports that we can look at if we want more information, but I think we have more than enough to know what's going on. So we will create the case. So the attack chain is, there was an email sent to Richard. It contained a malicious Excel document, which was this one that we've looked up here. The user ran the document, which then connected out to the network address. Hopefully the logs will still be there. I might have to search again. We could grab it quickly from here. Reached out to this network address and grabbed the next stage, the network.exe, which gave their attacker access to the endpoint. And then the next thing their attacker did was run the juicy potato to try and get privilege escalation on the machine. So that's their attack chain. So now we'll just need to log it in. So analyze the URL, malicious. It was accessed. We've already contained it. For artifacts, we can add the domain. We've went out and actually grabbed the hash of the initial file, so we may as well add that in too. And what was our alert originally spawning from? It was... Actually might have to just open up a new, I can't remember what their initial alert was. Just go to investigation channel. Traffic to malware domain. So yeah, that's the domain that we've already added. So that's fine. So happy with that. And I'll pause the video and I'll write some notes. Okay, I've written up some notes for this one. Mapped it to the MITRE attack technique, application layer protocol, ingress tool transfer, and user execution. Tried to log it with the 5W style. We've got malicious activity was detected on host Richard prod involving user Richard. The activity originated from user interaction with a malicious email attachment. The alert SOC 111, traffic to malware domain triggered after the endpoint made a request to a known malicious domain. Investigation shows the user opened a malicious Excel document. We've got the hash of it in there, which caused the system to connect to HTTP. We've got the malicious domain /image/network.exe and download a secondary payload. The destination IP 5.135.143.133 and domain are confirmed malicious and associated with command and control infrastructure. This activity is linked to a previous observed privilege escalation incident involving Juicy Potato on the same host. We've got the timestamp and the where host name, Richard Prod, the source IP, the 172 internal address, destination host name, the malicious domain, the IP address, and the URL. So we will log that. And close the alert, a true positive. So this one, I mean, I can't, 73-day streak, which is great. I can't really control what alerts pop up. I just try to do it in the order that I should. So critical first, then high, then medium, and then down to the lows. As you can see, yesterday we dealt with the privilege escalation detected. And if we have a quick look at that, that was the Juicy Potato, which we saw on Richard Prod, and this alert is related to that. So it's a bit silly we're looking at the same alert 2 days in a row, but it is what it is. And although I did cover the majority of this attack chain yesterday, it's nice to individually look at it. But we got everything correct, true positive, access the URL, and analyze the URL address as malicious. So we'll finish that off. This does follow on to a lesson I learnt yesterday. The alert yesterday was regarding the Juicy Potato privilege escalation. However, I investigated the whole attack chain and realized that this alert here was part of that attack chain, and so I said someone had accessed the C2 address, being this malicious URL that we're dealing with in today's ticket, when the lesson I need to learn is that the playbook is asking the question purely related to the alert. So the alert was purely regarding the privilege escalation, and with privilege escalation there's no reaching out to an external address. It was simply trying to elevate privileges on that endpoint. But I answered it taking the whole attack chain in mind. So that was the lesson I learnt today, and I guess this is just reinforcing that lesson again today. And I'll see you on day 82 of trying to become a SOC analyst. Thank you.